recipe calls for using Bisquick. I know there's going to be a bunch of crybabies if I use Bisquick. I'm totally fine with using a store-bought pancake batter or biscuit mix for this. But you know, it's a cooking show, so I'll show you how to do it from scratch anyway. Even though it's the dry batter part, I'm putting sugar in it. Sugar is considered a wet batter, but since we're not using a wet batter, I do want some sugar in it. You can leave it out if you want, but I'm putting it in mine. So with that said, let's get started here.
We start with sharp cheddar cheese. Using a broken box grater, I shredded up about 1/4 pound of it, more or less. More is okay because we know that cheddar makes everything better. Next, take 1 pound of spicy sausage. This brand of sausage is not nearly as greasy as other brands. How do I know that? You will see in a short while how I found that out. The store didn't have the brand I like to use because it's holiday season and everything else was bought out. I prefer Tennessee Pride myself. Anyways, add the cheese into the bowl with the sausage and use those built-in mixers and smash it all together very well. No need to be pretty about it, just incorporate it all until it looks like this. Now set that aside as we quickly make our dry mix. We have 2½ cups of all-purpose flour into a bowl, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, about 4 tablespoons of sugar, who's counting, a couple pinches of salt. You don't necessarily have to add salt here because the sausage is already salty, but the salty army knows that of course we have to keep bringing that salt. Whisk that together very well and the dry mix is ready to go. Now add the dry mix into the sausage a little bit at a time. Mix it in by hand. You don't have to be gentle here, just mash it in very well. It's almost like kneading dough. This is where you need to pay attention to how it feels in your hand. The more dry mix you add, the more fritter-like the balls will be in the end. The less you add, the more like a meatball it will be. So the choice is yours how much you want to add. If this were the pre-packaged store-bought biscuit mix, then I probably would have ended up using the entire amount into the sausage. But by feel, I could tell that I needed to stop here. So I had about 1 cup or so left of the unused dry mix. You can let this sit out for a while if you want. The closer to room temp it is, the more it will rise in the oven. Grease up a sheet tray. Take a little piece of the sausage mixture and roll it into a ball. These will expand in the oven, so if you want them bite-sized at the end, make them smaller to begin with. Note that if the mix is still cold, it won't expand as much in the oven. Once you have them all on a tray, into a 350 oven for approximately 20 minutes. I'm using a convection oven here, so it only took about 15 minutes for me. That's what we are looking for, nice and golden color.
So it seems you're going to use a lot less of the flour mixture when you're making them from scratch than if you were using Bisquick or something like that. So keep that in mind. That's why we don't go by recipes, we go by feel when we cook. This is not baking exactly. As far as sauce is concerned, I didn't make a sauce for these this time. Personally, I would drizzle some maple syrup over it, maybe a little bit of powdered sugar, even though there's spicy sausage in there with the pancake mix inside of it. It would go very well with it. But as far as sauce is concerned, I have a better idea.
Bonus round. A greased sheet pan again. This time, take a much larger amount of the sausage mix and form it into kind of like a hockey puck shape. If you know where I'm going with this already, let me know in the comment section. Hint, hint, there are some clues in the background here. Now take these things that look almost like thick burger patties and into the oven for a little longer than the balls because these are much bigger. You can see how these puffed way up here in the oven. Those are ready to go. Now, while those were in the oven, I had taken a pan with some more sausage and browned it off. This right here is how I know that this particular sausage is lacking in grease, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it is for me at this moment. And so I compensated by adding a little butter to the pan. Then I added a couple tablespoons of plain all-purpose flour into the sausage. Cook that for a little bit to cook out the flour taste before adding in some half and half. You could use cream or milk if you want, who cares? If you don't know where I'm taking this by now, Lord help us all. When your gravy has started to thicken slightly, I believe a touch of cayenne pepper goes very nicely here, so add that in. Followed by a bit of some good white pepper. I like white pepper for this instead of black pepper. And lastly, we have nutmeg. This takes the pepper gravy over the top, I promise. It only needs a touch of it, so don't go crazy when grating it in. Now that's the best sausage gravy you've ever had, I promise. And we now happen to have the best biscuits for the job here. Just cut one in half and add to the bowl, making sure to be extra OCD about it in order to get the final B-roll shot.
I was gonna make biscuits and gravy, didn't you? Okay. All right. Brought some napkins this time. This is killer. This is killer. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment down below, especially if you thought that I was going to end up making biscuits and gravy with this. Make sure to let me know down in the comments. If there's anything you guys want to see on the channel, hit me up, let me know. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.